What's up, y'all? It is Kaylee. I am back with another episode of Clearly Focused. I'm super excited for this one. It has been a long time since we have had a guest on the show, and this one is going to be a great episode. My gosh, I am so glad that this was the first guest episode back after a while. I am interviewing Kayla Esparza. She is such a gem to talk to, and I feel like we just related on this topic so much, so well. So I'm excited to share the episode with you guys. Before we get into it though, I am very excited to be home. I was traveling a lot of March. Before we get into it though, I just wanted to ask you guys if you are enjoying the podcast, if you guys could leave a review, that would be amazing. If you're using Apple, you could leave a review right through there, but even just like give me a little shout out on Instagram and tagging me, whether it's at Kayla Ely Photography or at Clearly Focused Pod. I would absolutely love that. Like, share with everyone. I want a lot of people to be able to listen to the episodes, and the more reviews that we get, the more it kind of bumps it up in the recommendations for other people. So I would much appreciate a little review, a little bit of love. And yeah, I have nothing crazy going on. It's April, so we're getting into the busy season, full swing of things, and I can't tell if it's because I was gone all of March or if it's because it's busy season. Maybe it's both, but I'm like hitting the ground running, which is insane. And yeah, I'm just very excited for all the things that 2024 and April has to come. But today, the episode that I have with Kayla, we are talking a little bit about the hustle culture mindset and the downsides to being a travel destination photographer. So I know a lot of times that industry specifically is like hyped up a lot, and it seems very enticing. So we kind of talk a little bit about why it's not, like why we have phased out of that world. And yeah, so for the 30 seconds, I just want you to close your eyes and just think about what it is that you are seeing on social media or from other people around you that is making you feel like you have to be constantly working, constantly hustling, constantly chasing those goals, and how it can be a detriment to you and your health, and not just your mental health, but your physical health. I just kind of want you to be thinking about those things, not just because I want you to be thinking about negative things, but think about how you can maybe start to flip that narrative, and the conversation that Kayla and I will have will help you hopefully flip some of those narratives and maybe encourage you to shift your mindset a little bit about it. And then we will be back on the other side of the break. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Clearly Focused. I am very happy because today we have a wonderful guest on the show named Kayla, and she is going to share us lots of good stuff that I think we all need to hear. Even if we hear it multiple times, it's just good to reiterate in our brain. So it's going to be a good conversation that I'm excited for. Kayla, tell us a little bit about who you are. Like, who is the girl that we are chatting with today? Where do you live? What do you photograph? All that kind of stuff.
Yay! Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Kaylee, so much for having me on your awesome show. Your setup is so cute. I'm obsessed.
Thank you.
So, like Kaylee said, my name is Kayla Esparza, and I am a wedding photographer / mother, wife, dog mom, adventure seeker, traveler, kind of just a plethora of things. A woman of many hats, one would say. And I'm based in Seattle, Washington. So, yeah.
Seattle's a good place to be. Lots of the Pacific Northwest, just landscape is gorgeous.
It is. If you guys have never been out here, you definitely need to check it out. It is just quite honestly on a lot of people's bucket lists, and for a reason, but I will tell you it's kind of hard to live out here personally, especially because I spent a little bit of my life in California, so just getting used to the sun almost being around year round. In
to
Washington,
never seeing
we
it.
don't. Right, we don't quite have that luxury up
Nope.
here. We do, though, however, have a very beautiful day today, so I'm very happy about that. But I'm even more happy to be here with Kaylee talking about so many fun topics that I'm sure she'll kind of introduce and put on the floor.
Absolutely. It's kind of ironic that you say you're having a great day because we are actually under a tornado watch, so it's like really dark outside, and so I feel like our weather is swapped today. But it's okay.
Oh my gosh, girl.
You're bringing the sunshine in the room for us. I'm very excited.
Oh, thank you.
How long have you been doing photography?
Oh, that's a great question. So I've been a photographer for over 10 years. So I'm 28, almost 29.
Whoop, whoop.
And I went full time right 6 months into my pregnancy back in 2017. And so what does that put us at? Like 6 years, I think?
17,
Okay,
it's 2024, yeah. You're going on year 7,
You're right.
girl.
Oh, you're right, because my son just turned 6 years old, which is wild. So I'm 7 years into doing this job full time, which is absolutely insane. Like, even saying that out loud is crazy, I feel like.
Yeah, I bet.
Especially what we've been through in the last 7 years, like COVID and inflation and all the things.
Yes.
So I feel very blessed and very happy to be sitting in the position I am in.
Well, good. Yeah, and that's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen a lot. And when you first started, were you, I know like what was really popular then was being like a destination travel photographer. I think it was like, not that it's not popular anymore, but I think that's really when it really started to surface was just like, I want to be a photographer and travel everywhere and like take pictures, beautiful like wedding and elopements and stuff.
Yeah.
And did you jump on that train? Were you part of that? Like, I want to be a travel photographer? She's like,
I would say the social media aspect surrounding that topic was all consuming from every corner. It was, you're either traveling for weddings or you're not successful. And that was just a catalyst, if I think that's the term. It was like my catalyst into being like suckered into that mindset of, if I'm not traveling and doing all of these crazy things and posting about it on my stories and having all these epic things to talk about and referrals and weddings and blah, 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 then I'm not going to make it to the big leagues. I'm not going to be seen as someone as like India Earl status. Like, I was just chasing that like treadmill, like a dog on a treadmill, not actually getting anywhere, but just thinking it's trying and it's going to, you know?
Yeah.
And in hindsight, I see all of that now based on where my life is today versus 6 years ago. But during it, I had no idea how damaging it was to my mental, physical, and spiritual state.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely hard when you see it all over social media that like, you know, if you follow certain photographers, they're traveling all over the world. You know, they're going to Greece, they're going to the Amalfi Coast, they're going to California, they're going to, like, I don't know, Australia, taking all these really cool photos and all these epic locations. And of course, I'm stuck here in Tennessee where there's like hills, tiny little hills, and just like a ton of green. And there's no beaches, there's no like red rocks, there's no nothing. It's just no variety in our locations. So I definitely got suckered into it at first too. Like, oh, I can be a really successful travel photographer and then I won't get tired of the locations I'm shooting in because I'm always mixing it up. And like, look at how cool my life will be. And you definitely have to think about what that really means for you, you know, when you're traveling a lot. It does wear you down, like not just physically, obviously that's tired, but emotionally it's lonely. It's really lonely. I mean, especially because you're traveling by yourself more often than not. Like, it's not like you and your second shooter and a whole videography team and everybody is flying together. And most of the time you don't know people where you're going. So you're not like meeting up with friends while you're there too. So yeah, I can see how that gets like, you can get suckered into it real easily.
Right, because the bigger picture of it all is, look at how amazing this wedding is that I got to photograph, that I now get to post about and share, and now it's only going to help me get more Mexico weddings or more weddings in Europe, etc. And what's sad is then, people like us see that and we have like that full-on comparison mindset of, if I'm not doing those things too, I must not be, as successful as I can be, as that person seems to be. And like you said, in the behind the scenes of it all, it is very isolating. It's very humbling. Like, I thought I could go weeks and weeks and weeks being on flights to all different places without hitting a roadblock mentally, physically, spiritually, like I mentioned. And I proved myself very, very wrong.
Well, and it's like, you see the shininess of it, the new and exciting, especially if you are new in the industry. That is something that seems very enticing, because you're like, wow, like, I can have this cool, awesome job, and I can travel and go to all these cool places. Like, heck yeah, I want to do that. But I think it starts with, I'm speaking for everybody here, kind of generalizing, but I feel like most of us enter the photography industry that way, where we're like, yeah, let's be a travel destination photographer. And then after a couple of years of doing that, we're like, shit, never mind. I don't want to do that. This is exhausting. And then we kind of like phase out of it. And I phased out of it in like 2021, probably. I had a few travel weddings that year, and I was like, I'm done. And even this last month, it's ironic because all of March I was gone, and some of them, like 2 trips, I had 3 trips. Well, technically 4. 2 of them were work related and 2 of them were personal. And I was gone like all of March, and I hated it because I'm a homebody. I love being at home. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but I miss my dog. I miss my bed. I miss my husband. Like, I just want to be home. And I hated living out of a suitcase and like having to go buy a water from the store. Like, I just wanted to be able to fill my own water bottle up from my fridge. And I think what the hardest thing was for me, and especially now that I'm not like a travel photographer, was taking care of my clients while I was gone, because I felt like the whole month of March I was slacking on communicating with people. And even though like they knew that I was out of town, and like whether I had told them ahead of time or I had an email response telling like an auto reply, but I just felt like my clients weren't receiving the attention that they deserved or that they needed. I was like, I'm not in front of my computer. I'll have to look at it in a week when I get back, and then they're just sitting there waiting on something from me. So I just hated that. It made me feel lousy.
Yeah, it's like the guilt feeling of letting other people down, whether it's family, friends, clients, yourself. And it piles up quick in our heads, where we kind of just brush it off or brush it aside, and we are distracted by the things that we are needing to do, like work a wedding or fly somewhere. So your priority and your thought processes are, not there. But then later down the road, that hits you like a bowling ball, where you're just like, I could have been more attentive to my clients, or I could have edited these sneak peeks faster, or done this or that. And I think the big picture issue here is, like you said, you were gone for all of March. So then imagine on the flip side, a different path you could have taken, which was, maybe I take 1 or 2 trips in March. May not be as much or look as though I'm traveling as much as this other photographer, but I'm doing what feels right for me. And I think that's where my disconnect had always been, where I was chasing, like I said, this idea of what I thought everyone else was doing. But in reality, I needed to look into my own life and say to myself, where do my priorities lie? Do I want to set time for myself? Do I want more time with my family, with my friends? Do I not want to miss Easter Sunday every year, or miss someone's birthday every year? Okay, I need to put that on my calendar and have that on like a repeat Google Calendar. You can set like,
so it blocks you off
same time every year. Yep. And so every time you're looking at your calendar and saying to yourself, what can I take in? You're very aware of already like where your priorities are at. And that's something that took me many years to learn. But thankfully, through a lot of my other really close like friends who happen to also be photographers, like my 2 best friends, Hannah and Alyssa, they have always very much like pushed me to, create better boundaries for myself.
Oh, well, that's good. You got to have friends like that in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you do.
So when you were wanting to transition out of traveling so much and wanting to just stay home, I mean, you'd spent how many years or months or both, like just advertising yourself as a travel destination photographer. And so what was the process like, kind of undoing that work?
Yeah, so I kind of have, I would say, like somewhat of a different story maybe to like the general person who is trying to slow down on traveling. Where again, we can go back to COVID times, 2020. My husband at the time was in the Air Force and his contract was ending in 2021. And we always knew come 2021, we want to move back home to Washington. So I already kind of knew I was taking on a few weddings outside of that time period of California weddings, so that I knew, hey, I may already be moving back to Washington, but I'm okay to come back here, stay with my best friends, shoot these weddings, and then fly home. But then when COVID happened and everyone started moving their dates, which A-okay, I would have probably done the same thing had I been, a bride or a groom at the time. I very quickly fell into, oh my God, I will be coming back to California and or Oregon, Mexico. I did a wedding in Hawaii, Florida, New York, Pennsylvania. All of these places very quickly all fell within like a year and a half time period. And I think when I added it all up, I was on a plane every single weekend for like 26 weeks in a row. Like it was...
Oh my gosh.
Insane. Okay, like I do not recommend to anyone. And in my brain I'm like, it's gonna be okay, like these flights are really quick, but it's not just like the quick flight, it's the quick flight, then get the rental car, then drive to your hotel, then you can't check in because it's not 3 p.m. yet. Okay, let's go to a coffee shop, now back to the hotel. It's just all adds up to be very overstimulating very quickly. And so when I slowly started to pull back and transition out of, hey, I'm a destination wedding, traveling photographer, always up for adventure. Yeah, sometimes. Like once a month, maybe once a quarter. Like we're approaching 30, okay? I'm 28, almost 29. I'm not cut out for that anymore. And that's okay. And I recognize in myself, like the right clients will still want to work with me. And I'm a big believer in that. And all that is meant to be will be. And so when I started transitioning out of, advertising it so much, I just started showcasing more and more of only what I wanted to have back in my inbox, which was Washington weddings, Portland weddings, Idaho weddings, places that I can drive to, Flying on a plane, great. But, the last couple news we've seen doors flying off. I'm like, I would rather drive.
Yeah, so I agree.
I have slowly, jokes aside, I've slowly just started saying to myself, one, I'm only going to start showcasing again what it is I want to receive back. And two, I am going to either refer out or turn down weddings that may just not fit the month in a whole or the 3 months that I'm looking at. Like my summer months up here in Washington are really hectic because everyone wants to get married in the sun. Totally agree. Love that. Even though we love the rain sometimes for weddings. It can be like moody and dramatic.
Yeah.
It's moody. We love her. And so I've started to say no to any flying over the summer. I used to do a lot of weddings, surprisingly, during the summer down in Mexico. I've done, like I said, the East Coast, Florida, Hawaii, all those places also around the summertime. And I've started to say, like, hey, this is not going to be a doable thing for me because I don't also want to be shooting weddings locally and thinking about having to fly somewhere else also. Yeah. So if I do travel, it tends to be around the time that I'm not shooting things as strongly locally.
That makes sense.
That's kind of where I've put up my boundary. Yeah.
So do you still get inquiries that require you to travel pretty frequently, or do you think that's kind of leveled off now that you've established over the last couple of years that you mostly do Washington area weddings?
Yeah, I feel like a majority is Washington. Amazingly, a lot can be from referrals, not just like, hey, I found you on Instagram or found you on the TikTok or whatever. And I would say I still get a few that come in for like California, Oregon, like Hawaii, maybe just like the west side, nothing too crazy. Haven't gotten any European inquiries, so if you're listening, call me and Kaylee up. We'll travel for you. No, just kidding. But
it's a bucket list thing,
feel like it is a bucket list thing, but we can get into that too because you mentioned Australia earlier, and I happen to just go for fun, which
I know you told
haven't
me.
haven't done like a trip for fun
in a long
since
time.
pre pre-child probably. So
wow.
we can get into that as well too,
Yes.
because I think that's really important. Like, I lost the love for travel.
Yeah, because
And
you're doing it for work.
going-
You had to go. It was draining.
I had to go. I had to, like, get dressed up, go shoot a wedding, go. And, you know, I'm not saying it to be like, oh, I had to go do it. But, like,
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed all of those weddings that I did get to do. But it is very draining emotionally and physically, like you said. And that's where you feel it later on. Like, you never really feel it in the moment. But later on, you're, like, home from the trip. And you're like, oh, my God. Like, I could just feel it, you know?
And for me,
so,
I mean,
yeah.
I mentioned it earlier, like I like to be alone. Don't get me wrong. I love having my alone time. Like being in March when I was gone all month, it was like visiting a friend, going to a workshop, like traveling with a second shooter for a wedding. And then one of them was a vacation with my husband. And so I was sharing a room with someone that entire month and I had no alone time. And it was crazy because I was like, I just want to be alone. But when you're traveling usually for a travel destination photographer, and you are traveling by yourself, you're just like, dang, like walking through the airport by yourself, sitting and waiting at the gate by yourself, getting on the plane and sitting like, I can take the middle seat because I'm alone, you know, like, and then just like getting to the hotel room after the wedding. It's like, not that I really want to do anything after a wedding anyways, but you just walk into this empty, unfamiliar place that you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's very lonely, and it can, especially if you do it frequently and you are someone who needs to be around people a lot, that can really weigh you down. It can really start messing with the mental health, which is not ever good.
And also, if you're an anxious girly like me, going and entering your car to the hotel in the dark with a camera bag that you know has thousands upon thousands of dollars inside of it.
Terrifying.
That's scary. And I feel like I've lost sleep over the last couple of years, you know, staying in hotels by myself. Granted, my friends would tell you I maybe sometimes don't pick the best hotels to stay at, but that's not the
has
point.
nothing to do with it.
The point is, it's terrifying. It can be very anxious feeling for me personally, staying somewhere that I've never been, or just staying somewhere alone. It's isolating, it's lonely, and it can be really, you know, it can be scary. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies out here.
Yeah, I know. And I think
Exactly.
that once you get it, the only way that you'll know that it's like not all it's cracked up to be is by doing it, by living it, that life, and then realizing like the first few ones are cool, and then you kind of start to hate it. And then you might get like a really epic location that you're like, okay, well, I'm kind of tired of this, but like at least it's in Mexico or something like that. And then after that, you're like, I don't even care that it's in Mexico. Like I've done this in Mexico 50 times now, or whatever. It's like it's not enticing.
Like I just want to go to Mexico and lay by the pool. That's what I want to do the next time I go to Mexico.
I want to go with my friends and just hang out. I don't want to bring all my camera equipment.
Right. What I don't want to do is fall asleep in the sun the day before the wedding. This is a true story, by the way. Get a massive sunburn and then have to wear my camera straps on my shoulders and let it rub all night. Are you kidding?
No.
That's not what I want to do. Also, I would get the worst like scalp burns too. It's not all
I feel
rainbows and
for you.
butterflies.
That sucks. Yeah, I mean, I even just in Tennessee, like I'll get sunburned shooting a wedding, and you can see like my camera straps, like where they were, and then taking them off at the end of the day. I'm like, oh, it hurts.
Right, and then what happens to our cute, like the photographers? What happens to our cute photos for the summer? Guess what? They're getting AI, you know, sun tan line removal photo takes. Lots of time to do, but we'll do it for you. We
gotta make it look like we know what we're doing, and we didn't just get sunburned shooting a wedding all day.
Yeah, because now my own cute photos have been tainted by all of these ugly suntan lines that I've got.
So you still travel a little bit for weddings, but I guess the time, like the frequency of it has changed a little bit. Do you miss at all traveling? Are there any parts of it that you do miss?
You know what I miss the most is, well, there's two things. One would be seeing my friends a little bit more often than I do now. And two is freaking In-N-Out Burger. Like, I'm so mad. We still have not gotten one way up here in Washington, but
you are going to be so mad when I tell you this then. We are getting an In-N-Out here in Tennessee.
It's fine.
I
still love you.
Right?
Okay, that's awesome. That gives me hope. You know, they're branching out.
Branching.
They're coming to all the states soon.
Yes.
I hope.
Yes.
But
yes, they will.
I just miss, like, in a way, I don't know, I guess the thrill of, like, oh, I'm going, like, here and, like, telling people, and they're like, oh my God, that sounds so amazing, like, have the best time. Like, I sort of miss that, and I still see, like, what I'm doing today. Like, I'm still so proud of all the weddings that I have been getting and shooting and the couples that I've been working with, and I'm realizing, like, I could get those experiences in my area. The same feeling, the same excitement, the same love that I do for those couples that I do travel for.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like now more of a priority, I guess, when I do look at my calendar year. Okay, what's important to me? What do I not want to miss out on? Mother's Day, Father's Day, like those big dates, birthdays, you know,
like
my
4th of July,
holidays,
yeah.
my parents' wedding anniversary, like days that I know, like maybe my family might get together and like go out to dinner. Like, I have personally lost a few of my family members in the last couple of years, and so I now see even more, I realize, like, how fleeting moments can be with the people you love. And I think it's just a huge reminder that our calendar should not be full of, like, this hustle culture of, like, I need to get every wedding, I need to book every flight, I need to go to every location, I need to shoot with every couple. Like, it shouldn't have to be like that. You should still be able to work with people that, you know, love you enough to want to invest in your pricing, who hopefully can be local to your area. And you should also be able to have those moments with the people you love, or for yourself, or with your, you know, tight-knit family, with your spouse, your significant others. Like, you deserve to have that just as much as you deserve to have the means to, you know, keep doing what you love.
Right. Yeah, and it's cool that you mentioned, like, feeling like you have to book every wedding and book every flight and do all the things, because we just, I think in this industry specifically, but I'm sure it's common in other places too, we just get caught up in that hustle culture mindset, and that can be really hard to break. And even no matter how long you're in the industry, I'm sure there's going to be moments where you're like, you feel that you've just got to bust your balls to get stuff done. But how do you think that you can try to break that cycle and try to slow down a little bit, say no more often, that kind of stuff? Because hustle culture, like I said, it's a thing. I don't know about you. I don't know if you're feeling it currently or not, but I feel like it's always in the back of my head. Like, you should be working harder.
I am literally so detached from that now. Like, it's
good.
Crazy. And it is, like, incredible because, like I said, if you have been in my close inner circle the last few years, you would know that it was, like, the only thing driving me forward. Like, the focus of, like, more money, more clients, more weddings, more locations. Like, that was all consuming in my life. And I think when it comes to, like, habits in general, for me, it literally just came down to doing something that was not part of that normalcy in my life. So the normalcy of the hustle, and then I kind of just put a door jam in it, and I said I need to do something that's not in this current circle. And for me, that was going to a gym. And as simple as that sounds, that is truly what kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I added in this new thing of this hard thing of I'm going to get my ass kicked every time I walk into this place. But I slowly started to realize this was also like my time, my time to get up in the morning, even though it was way earlier than my son and my husband. I was able to brush my hair, do my face routine, my cleansers and moisturizers and things that I was not taking care of myself. I was not doing those things. I would only do those things when it came to like, oh, I'm like disgusting, I need to like do a full, you know, the everything
reset.
shower.
Yes.
A full reset. And I realized slowly, like, if I start building these good habits and doing them every day and showing up for myself every day in these new ways, the things that I'm not used to doing for myself, maybe I'll start to reach that dream life of having a healthy work-life balance of I love what I do and I love doing what I do, and traveling for that, but I'm also very aware of what I need to do to make my cup be full as well, so I can pour it into others.
Yeah, and it's what I think having those good habits and those good structure, like good day structures, is what really can make a difference between that, because I feel like if you don't have good, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Routine. If you don't have a good routine, then I feel like if you're waking up at different times of the day, if you're, working different times of the day, if you don't have certain days or times of the day blocked off to do certain tasks or activities, then you wake up and you feel behind already because you have no schedule, you have no, like, nothing written down about, like, this is what's going to get done. You just kind of wake up and you're already like, crap, oh my gosh, like, I have too much to do. And so then it makes doing those things, like your personal routine, your skincare routine, or going to the gym or taking a walk every day, it makes doing those things even harder because you already feel behind and you can't catch up. It feels like you can't catch up. So then that increases that hustle culture mindset, because you're like, I'm already behind. I already can't do what I need to be doing or what I should be doing. So I'm just going to get the work done that I need to get done and move on.
Isn't there a quote that's like fire fuels fire or something like that? Like,
I think I
don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, it's in the recesses of my mind. I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember it.
Me being like, fire feeds fire. It's literally not even a quote.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, I think it is.
Okay.
We'll find it after this episode, I'm sure, and I'll put it in the show notes if we find out. This is what we were talking about.
But I feel like that's so true. Like, you're just feeding that same, like, sort of negative mindset, negative energy into the already somewhat negative and somewhat unhealthy mindset of what hustle culture, like, truly is. And, like I said, it didn't really take me until I was placed in this amazing gym that I now go to realize that, and to realize, like, I have not been taking care of myself and giving myself the time to be human, to be a mother, to show up for, like, to be a woman,
our
to
legs.
like, I need to shave them now, like, and now I have, like, a tanning routine. Like, I tan every Sunday night, and I don't skip out on that. Like, even if I'm like, oh, I still have to, like, edit sneak peeks and do all of these things or respond to that email, I always tell myself everything will get done. And that's that. Like, everything will always get done. And I always remind myself of that when I start getting those thoughts of, like, oh my God, I need to do all of these things immediately, or else, like, or else what? Like, truly ask yourself,
or else what?
What is the literal worst possible case scenario? And if my husband was here, he would be laughing at me, because he literally has to remind me of this when I do get into, like, a panicked, anxious state of, like, oh my God, I'm so stressed because of X, Y, and Z. And he will remind me that same thing. Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Like, truly ask yourself that. And if you can't answer it, or it doesn't seem like, relevant to the situation, then everything is okay. The world is still spinning. We're still floating through space, and everything will always get done.
Yeah. One of my friends has a saying that she's like, we're on a floating rock. Like, we're just on a floating
that all the
rock.
time.
It doesn't, yeah.
And we have to pay taxes. Can someone
Explain
please
this?
tell me, why do we pay taxes if we're floating through space? Please.
We're just chilling out here,
tell me why.
floating around like nothing matters.
Literally,
I'm so screaming. True. I know. Well, I mean, we can get so many negative habits and so many negative mindsets from hustle culture. Like, what would you think some of them are? Like, I think one of them would be, for sure, just being like, when the downtime is bad time, So, like, every time you're sitting, no matter what it is, like, when you're not working, basically, you're doing something wrong.
I'll tell you, my first thing that popped in my head when you asked me that was staying up super late after a wedding day just to deliver the sneak peeks before the morning.
Before everybody wakes up.
Before everyone wakes up. That is, like, the worst habit. And I don't know who started it, but I am pissed at that person because I thought that's what you were supposed to do. I truly thought everyone's doing this.
Everyone stays
I have
up
to do
late.
it too. I will literally, like, get an angry email or a bad review, or something bad will happen if I do not deliver these in this time frame.
Yeah. So now I'm curious,
That
what is it that you do?
So not true. I tell my couples within the week, and truly in my contract, like, they're not even promised, because
right.
I don't want anyone to like hold it over my head, because when I do get busy and I do, lose sight of, hey, needing to get these sneak peeks back right away, I don't want to fall into, oh, let me just do them really fast and like half-ass it. Like, if I'm going to sit down and do sneak peeks, they're going to be the best damn sneak peeks you've ever seen. And that's what I want, not only for my business and what I represent, but also for my couples. I don't want to send you
Crappy
edit photos. Yeah.
Especially because you're like
And
already exhausted from the wedding, and you're sleep deprived, and you're cross-eyed, and you like I
maybe ate one granola bar like plus dinner,
super
and that's
dehydrated.
It.
Yeah.
Peed one time.
Yep. Definitely bad habits are formed on wedding days for sure. But then you just wake up in the morning and you look at the sneak peeks that you sent, and you're like, oh, like, why did I think that looked okay last night? Maybe
right, because you got dust caked in your eyes, and you're like, sunscreen, you're like, I think this look okay, I don't know. Yeah, and that was truly, like, my worst habit, and some weekends, like, I was shooting 2, 3, 4 weddings in a row, and I would do this for every couple, but then it would affect the next couple, because now I'm showing up like a zombie to your wedding day, and that's not okay for me to do. It's not okay for my client to see, or potential other clients that are at that wedding to see me acting in that way, or not acting in a certain way. Like, maybe I'm not as bubbly as I came across like at the engagement shoot, but guess what, I got 2 hours of sleep, and that's why. But whose fault is that? Mine.
Yours. Yeah, I know. And it's hard to remember those, because even I think that the expectations around wedding sneak peeks has been changing at least the last year that I've noticed, because maybe 2021, 2022, I would have couples who would be so excited to get their sneak peeks the next day. And I might not send them until like 4 in the afternoon, because I'll sleep on Saturday night and wake up Sunday morning and do them. But now I will do the same thing, or maybe depending on how early the wedding ends, I'll go home and like at least import the photos or whatever, so that way I can edit them a little bit faster in the morning. But regardless, like, I just shot a little elopement on Thursday and sent them their sneak peeks on Friday, and they were like, well, look at them later. And like, I don't think they've even opened that email yet, So I'm just like, no, people are like, they're not expecting you. They're out on their honeymoon. They're traveling. They're leaving town. Like, they don't have time to sit down and look through these sneak peeks, especially because most of the time we give them like a good amount. We don't just give them 5, but you can just text them 5, and they're like, oh, cool, thanks. But then, you're sending them these massive sneak peek galleries that they don't have time to look through anymore. They're living their lives, so we should live ours.
Exactly. And so, yeah, like I said, for me, I say sneak peeks are never promised, like, in my contracts, but I always express and like communicate to my clients, like, hey, I'm so, like, thank you so much for having me tonight. Like, I will send you sneak peeks this week, like, if I'm, saying goodbye to them from their wedding night. And, or I'll be like, hey, I had the best day. Like, I'm headed out tomorrow to do this, so you'll expect sneak peeks at this point. But you know what? Sometimes they're, like, drunk off their ass, too, and
they don't
on the
even
dance floor and having fun. They don't even care. They don't even remember. And that's something that I have to remind myself too, that, like you said, sometimes they leave right away, or they're sleeping for days because they're exhausted. Like, people do not have certain expectations over you. You sort of set them as the business owner. So if you are sending sneak peeks immediately and posting from 3 a.m. on your stories, oh my God, just finished these sneak peeks. Other clients that have already hired you see that stuff, and now their expectation of you has become that.
Yes.
So if you don't do that for them, they might have something to say to you about that. And that's something I kind of learned too. So I'm like selective about what I am sharing online and what I'm not sharing online. Because too, I want everyone to feel as if I'm giving, similar, if not the exact same experience.
Right.
Know?
It's very important that they feel like they're not like missing something or getting left out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So true. This is fun. What other kind of negative mindsets do you think that we get from hustle culture? I just like to deconstruct them with you.
Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you. I honestly too, like, going into just not getting enough sleep at night is also like sleeping in. Not that sleeping in is bad, but for me, like, I love a productive morning routine. Like, over a night routine, I find a morning routine is like absolutely crucial to set the tone and bar for the rest of your day. And as much as, you know, the average 9 to 5er says, oh, I hate my 9 to 5 because I don't really have anything going on, you know, during the day because I'm working the 9 to 5, as business owners like us, photographers, we do have the luxury of picking when it is that we're working.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like a lot of times for me, back in the day, I would sleep in,
Mm-hmm.
groggy, waking up, maybe checking emails, but not having like the desire or maybe motivation to do that. But if I wake up in the morning now, take my son to school, get a workout in, come home, fuel my body with amazing food, then sit at my desk, guess how much freaking stuff I can get done?
Yeah.
So much more. I'm so much more focused. I'm productive. I have set the tone for the day. I can set a timer on my phone. I have this cute little like phone stand. Set a timer for an hour, do as much as I can in that hour. Cool, take a break, gonna shower, gonna do something for myself, gonna feed my body something, you know,
Yummy.
new, like a little sweet treat. Yeah, little midday sweet treat, little caffeine, come back to my desk, set the tone again for sitting back down, hour timer, get as much as you can get done. And for me, that has become, you know, kind of my norm and what works best for me at the moment.
Yeah. I think that's very important too, is just, and also knowing what that routine looks like for you. And because, I mean, not everybody, we have to remember, is full-time. Like, some people are part-time, so they might have the 9 to 5 job where they already kind of have that like morning routine, and then their 9 to 5 job, and then maybe it's an evening work routine or a weekend work routine that you have to create those boundaries within. That's like different than what it looks like for us, but for them it's still important to set, even if you're part-time.
Yeah, and you can fall even easier into that hustling, because now you're coming home from your 9 to 5 and going to yourself, okay, now I have to spend all of my free time doing this so I can, you know, reach that goal or reach that dream that I have. And to a certain point, to a certain extent, yes, absolutely. Like, do as much as you can so you can live the life that you want to live. But don't forget about yourself. Like, I'm such an advocate now for, like,
Same.
Don't forget about taking care of you. Like, you are important. Your dreams are important, yes, but there's no dreams if you're not there to, like, catch it or to receive it, you know? So don't lose sight of taking care of yourself and doing things for you first before anything else.
Yeah, it's definitely important to remember that. I tell that with even in like my mentorships, and when people are asking me like, how do I grow on social media? And, you know, everyone says you're supposed to post like 5 times a week, but like I can't. Like, social media is draining. And I'm like, well, you have to take everything with a grain of salt and know that it's whatever's going to work best for you. Like, maybe posting 5 times a week will be what is going to help your Instagram grow, but like if your mental health is suffering because of it, then either find a way that you can like auto post those things so you're still posting but you're not on it, or just don't, and be okay with the fact that your Instagram might grow where you want it to, but you can still nurture your audience that you have that way, because you're not coming to social media drained and burnt out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely taking everything with a grain of salt and like working it in what works best for you is super important. So I love that you said that. Being an advocate for yourself.
Yeah. Be an advocate for yourself. Your mental health is so important. And like I said, if your cup is being poured into all these other cups, into your job, into your friends, your family, your spouse, your kids, and your own cup is not getting filled up, your cup is going to get emptied, and then there's no way for you to pour into other people. And so, like I said, I'm just a huge advocate for taking care of yourself before anyone else, because it's not selfish. It's actually selfless, because then you can give 100% to everyone else around you.
Yeah, it's true. And there are so many benefits that come from slowing down a little bit instead of like always being go, go, go. For me, one of those things is like truly being aware of the amount of work that I can take on, because I already know what my limits are, and I can see like when I'm getting inquiries in, or if I have people needing me to do something, whether it's for free or for fun or for work, it doesn't matter. It's just like I'm kind of at capacity, you know, I'm saying no, and I feel bad for saying no, but I do need to take care of myself. And I guess that's kind of a two-parted thing, is like knowing my capacity, knowing my limits, and then I have been not as scared to say no. It's very freeing, because that word can be very scary for a lot of people, but now that I am like slowing down, I am just like, nope, no is a full sentence.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And it can be scary to say no, but I think it's important to say no, because when you say no, you are allowing for also that couple to receive the energy that they're giving. And so by you saying no to an opportunity, it's allowing that couple to find that perfect pair. Because I have said yes to a lot of things that maybe I shouldn't have said yes to. Maybe the wedding was too far of a drive, so again, I showed up like a little too tired, or not giving 100%, which is what everyone deserves to feel on their wedding day, is what I believe. Like, everyone deserves to feel, especially paying thousands of dollars for something, they should deserve to feel very
special,
luxurious.
Yes.
Yeah, and special.
They should feel like
and loved and cared for.
Yeah, exactly. I was supposed to say they should feel cared for. That's what I was word for word gonna say. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree.
What other kind of benefits do you think there are from slowing down a little bit and not constantly going and chasing that hustle culture?
Yeah. I think for me, like, my biggest benefit has just come from my mental health, my physical health. Like, today, Kayla is so different from the 2020 to 2022 version of Kayla. Today's Kayla can hold a camera without, like, her wrist being broken by the end of the night.
Shaking.
I can hold that camera above my head, like, on the dance floor with the flash on top of it all night long without being extremely sore the next day. Like, because I have taken the steps to take care of myself mentally and physically, I can now perform better and do a better job. And that's all I've ever wanted to feel. That's all I've ever wanted for my couples to have, is 100% of what I can give to them on their days. And so I know there's so many more benefits than obviously just like health related things, but I think for me that because I started there, it's now affected more areas that I didn't even know were being damaged. Maybe just, again, in like my routine of things. Like, I used to never eat dinner with my family. I would just sit at the computer and eat dinner because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
It was like a personal punishment. And now
you're like, well, you took on this much, Kayla, so you have to eat alone.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and as sad as that is, like, I didn't even realize it, and now I make sure every night, if I can, you know, there's of course maybe some days here and there, but they're not as often as they once were, where I say to myself, like, these moments with my son being so little, like, he's not always gonna be at the dinner table, and so I need to be there. Like, I need to be present. I need to hear about his day. And like I said, I just tell myself at the end of every day, if I've like not gotten through my huge to-do list, which by the way, as an adult, never goes away. You will always have a to-do list. But that's
and as
what
a small
you have
business
to remind,
owner, and as a mom, and as a, like, oh yeah, it's just,
that's what you have to like continuously remind yourself, is because I feel like too, in a little bit of hustle culture mindset, is like, at some point I will get there. At some point all of this will be done. At some point, all of this will be edited. At some point. But you never quite get there. Just like the little dog on the treadmill who thinks he's going to get the bone, but never does. That was the mindset that I was in. And so you really do have to like continue to tell yourself everything will always get done. And there will always be a to-do list. But what can I do today for myself? That's most important to me. And what can I do today to be surrounded by the people that I love and the people that I want to have those memories with day in and day out.
Yeah. It is so true, because it was like you said, there's going to be those days where your to-do list never ends and you're going to feel very overwhelmed, but you remind yourself, again, like we said earlier, you're on a floating rock. Like, we're just floating through space. And also it feels very weird to downgrade, I guess, if that's even the right word that I'm looking for, but it feels weird to demote our jobs to being like, it's just pictures, But like
Yeah.
in the end of the day, at the end of the day, like it is just photos. Like if people are,
They're
if clients
just
are,
photos.
they're just pictures. Like you're not saving lives, people. Okay.
Yeah.
So having these crazy, insane deadlines or like expectations that you put on yourself. Most of the time, you're putting them on yourself. It's not the client putting them on you, like we
Exactly.
said earlier. So like by doing that, you're only harming yourself. So it's just,
Right.
you know, it's just pictures.
Yeah. They're just photos. Everyone will have these photos for the rest of their life. I tell myself that too. Like, even if you feel the pressure from the client, like, where are my sneak peeks? Where are my photos? Where's this? Where's that? You have to just remember at the end of the day, they're just excited. They're not mad at you. They're not upset that they haven't received something. Like, they're truly just excited to see their memories. And once they have all of them, they will have them for the rest of their life. So if it takes you 2 weeks, if it takes you 4 months, just do the best job that you can do, the job that you know, were hired to do. And at the end of the day, they will have them for forever. So you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to say, if I don't get these done in this certain amount of time, like the world's going to stop. Like it won't. It will keep going. And the clients, you know, as long as you are fulfilling what your contract says, they should be happy. So don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. Yep, just let those expectations go a little bit. I mean, not completely, because that's bad, but
Right.
loosen the noose around your neck a little bit.
Yeah, and that'll naturally start to happen too when I think you know, the listeners, if you are wanting to change something in your life or change your routines, like that will naturally follow suit when you make those changes, because you're going to start to realize, like I said, oh, I didn't realize I was doing this damaging behavior, like for me, sitting at my desk and eating dinner without my family, or sitting at my desk all day long and not once getting up to shower or to change my clothes or to go for a walk, enjoy the fresh air. Like, you know, we can so easily fall into that sort of mindset and routine. But if you're listening and feeling like, you know, this is hitting home, then hit us up. We can make a game plan together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in closing, is there any other advice that you would like to impart with anybody? Like any more rules or routines you want to share, or like inspiring quotes or anything you want to sprinkle on our guests?
Fire feeds fire.
Yes, we will figure out what that is. I promise.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've said a lot of what I really wanted to say today, which is just advocating for yourself, putting yourself first, even when it feels like you shouldn't or you can't. I want you to know that you deserve that, and everyone deserves that feeling. And you can have that feeling while also being a badass business owner. So they both go together. You just have to figure out what works best for you. And two, what works best for me may not be the best for you, because we're not all meant to be the same person. We're all different. We're all unique. And that's why all of our photos are so beautiful, is because we all have different artistic styles and eyeballs that see things differently.
Minds that process things differently.
Our businesses are going to be, in turn, structured differently as well. So if you see someone you look up to online that you like, oh my God, like until I look like my life looks like theirs, I'm never going to be happy. I'm never going to feel this level of success, etc. Like, you will have your own version of that.
Yes.
It will just be your own version.
Yeah.
Like Taylor Swift. Taylor's version, you know?
There we go. We'll just be more like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I wish.
I know, right? I literally just started watching the Eras movie last night, so that's ironic.
Was it your first time?
It was. And I never went to the concert either. I haven't finished it, though, because I got too tired and was like, I'm going to go to sleep. But
you're talking to one of the head Swiftie committee members. I'm
Ooh, right? You're like, I actually wrote that.
But I went to a few of the shows. That was partially why I went to Australia. As my friend who lives out there had two tickets for 2 different nights, and she said, you better book your plane ticket. And I said, aye, booked it, and ended up bringing my husband and my son, and we had like a fun family vacation out of it as well.
That's so cool.
I was glad I got to do something again, traveling
for yourself,
and seeing seeing a new place in the world that I've never been to. I've never been to Australia. It's been on my bucket list since I was a 5th grader when I met this best friend of mine. And we've been friends for over 17, 18 years now. She's always come to the U.S., but I've never gone to her. So it was truly like a dream come true. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then on top of that, we got to listen to an artist that we both have listened to throughout our entire friendship. So crazy. Yeah, we went twice. Cool. So that was so cool.
Fun. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of fun things, tell me anything fun you're working on or looking forward to in the next, maybe you could say year or months, whatever.
I'm like, do you want like a bit, like this is kind of not a surprise, but I have not quite like announced it to like my photographer world.
So the Clearly Focused listeners will be like the first to hear if you want to share.
Pretty much. So as of this week, I've officially signed up to get my personal training certifications.
Oh my gosh.
I will be not only certified in personal training, but also in nutritional health and women's strength training.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm really nervous because I've not gone to school in like 10 years and it's a lot of book work and all of this stuff. Lots of studying. But I'm so excited for this journey. And it's not going to really take away from like where I'm at with photography, but it does help me potentially help more for my gym that I go to. And so that makes me really excited because the gym that I go to, I want everyone to go look it up if you can. It's called Wolfheart Fit Co. At Wolfheart Fit Co. on Instagram. It has not only the most amazing community of members and coaches, and the owner is incredible, but the whole idea of fitness has completely changed in my brain from what I used to think fitness was to now what I believe it is. And a lot of that came from, you know, attending this gym and being around these incredible people. So I'm really excited to be more involved, potentially not just with the gym, but in the fitness world in general, and to be able to help other women, creatives, mothers, humans, anyone that needs kind of that extra help but may be afraid to talk to solely like a person who was like, oh yeah, this big bulky dude and I've been a personal trainer forever. Like, that's intimidating. I totally agree and can understand that. So it'll be cool to be like the photographer that I am, the mother, the wife that I am, but also be able to help people in my corner and outside of my circle in these ways as well. So
that's so exciting. Cool. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. It's so weird, like I said, because photography has been all encompassing in my life for the last 7 years. And like I said, I'm not, you know, pulling back on it in any way, shape, or form. This is just kind of something that I want to add into my life. And I can do that now because I've restructured how my business works. And so, like we've said all podcasts today, just the fact that I've been able to move things in my calendar and allow the space and time for that is really cool and definitely a big step for someone who used to eat dinner alone at her desk. So
this is
we've
showing
come
past
miles.
Kayla, how far you've come.
Yeah. Oh she would not believe that if I told her. She would be shook. But here we are. So
well, that's super exciting. Congratulations, Kayla.
Thank you.
Tell everyone.
So if you
go ahead.
Oh, go for it.
I was just finish your sentence.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say what I think you were gonna say, which is where to find me. But my photography account is at Kayla Esparza, and it's Esparza. And then if you want to follow more of like my fitness stuff, it's my personal page at Kez Burrito. I know that's weird, but basically, short story long, my grandma thought my married last name was Burrito, not Esparza. I don't know why, but now it's been like an inside joke, and that's why it's
Grandma. Kez
Burrito. So KS Burrito is the personal page. So yeah,
and I will link all that so that people can find you for both of those journeys, for your photography work and your personal stuff. I'll put them in the show notes so that you can find them real easily.
Cool. Well, it was so amazing talking to you this morning, Kaylee. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us and chatting with us about just breaking down those barriers, those like expectations we have on ourselves, and that hustle culture mindset.
Of course.
It was great. Good conversation.
Yeah. And I hope everyone that's listening knows, like, if you ever needed someone to like talk to in the industry, I'm a person that I'm like always reading my DMs, whether they're people who follow me or not, and answering questions when I can. So I'm just a huge advocate for that as well. Like, you can always reach out, whether it's fitness or photography related. I'm your
Kayla's your girl.
Yay!
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you again so
Yeah.
much. And
of course.